On today's episode, we spoke with Sharon Cohen, who is a holistic naturopath, and we spoke about her journey into naturopathy actually, and how she really helps women around her to be better, to really like help traumas and anxieties and things like that. It was such a beautiful conversation we had with her.
Yeah, it was really good. One of my favorites, actually, I have to say, I really like her style. And I really, I can, when you meet people like this, it's always really interesting because they always have a reason why they get into their professions, right? And with her, it was because of a loss. And she understood through the loss that she needed to make some changes in her career. And she really took a sharp right turn. But
Yeah.
she's got a beautiful way of explaining things, expressing herself, of pulling information out of people. I just feel like she's gifted, and people that work with her are really going to benefit so much from her beautiful personality and her expertise and experience. Also, you know, it was
Yeah, and
very,
we even had a little mini, she kind of gave us like a little mini consult during the episode as well of how you can kind of expect her,
mhm.
I guess, the meetings with her, consults with her to go down. So that was really cool and very
It
personal
was
as
fun.
well. So,
Yeah. And also just the
so
point that we're human, and that we're imperfectly human, and that everything that we do is for the bettering of ourselves and our community, and also like just to be patient with yourself, not to be so hard on yourself. We have a lot of pressure on us already through our society and culture, that she just made it very digestible.
yeah.
And just that is a practice, and it takes time to be patient.
So we hope you enjoy this episode and welcome Sharon to Skin Talks. So share with the audience how you ended up in naturopathy. Like, tell us your story. How'd you end up here? We really want to know a little bit more about you.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to share my story. It started a long time ago in my 20s. I was 25 and my mom was 50, and she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And that was really shocking to our family. And so I spent the next 2.5 years with her, walking with her through surgery, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and noticed that she was getting weaker and weaker. It was a little bit disturbing and not feeling well and getting sicker. And after 2.5 years, she passed at 67 pounds. And that was pretty devastating. And
Yeah.
so I spent quite a while healing, doing different modalities, going for therapy, and um, wondering where I was going to go from here on my path. I was in sales, and I realized that that was not my passion and purpose. I was selling computer accessories.
Oh boy.
And a friend of mine invited me to an evening at a school for holistic health and wellness, a naturopathic school, and I went. I thought, what have I got to lose? And I was always interested in health and wellness, and studied actually psychology, and it seemed to be a good fit. And I sat there and I went, oh my gosh, this is like coming home. Everything resonated with
Felt
me.
good.
It was like I had found the missing piece of what happened along that journey with my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that missing piece for me, so it wasn't that I was against Western medicine, but it was like something was clearly missing within her treatments. And I discovered that um, in that evening. Um, and so I came home and my husband said, how was the evening? And I said, well, there's good news and bad news. And I said, the good news is I loved it. It was wonderful. And so he said, so why is there bad news? I said, because I want to go back to school for another 3 years. And I had a 1-year-old at the time.
Oh boy.
So he said, we'll work it out.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
what I discovered in school, because I had to do it and he knew I had to do it, what I discovered in school was miraculous. So I discovered nourishment. For me, the word nourishment, but not only the nourishment of the cells, so nutrition, so important. What are we nourishing ourselves with? But what are we nourishing our souls with? And that
Yeah.
was, and what are we nourishing our emotions with, our emotional being? And so I just couldn't get enough. I was like a sponge trying to gather all of this nourishment that made me feel so excited, so whole, so healthy and well. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And after studying for 3 years, I felt like my mom was with me. She
oh,
was the wind beneath my wings. And I felt like she had passed me the torch and said, here, I did the best I could with the tools and consciousness I had at the time. You run with it now. You take
Yeah.
it. And for me, that was to help myself and to heal so that I can then help other women to heal and to be
Right.
well and to be healthy and to thrive, not only survive, but thrive and live their greatest passion and potential.
oh,
Yeah.
wow. What a beautiful
That's
story.
beautiful.
And
I
a
wanted
big change in your career too.
Huge,
Yeah,
huge.
I'll always love
Yes.
stories like that. I say it all the time, but I always love the stories where people are like doing what they think their purpose is or going through their lives and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden wake up one day and take a sharp right just because they can't
Yes.
align with the things that they're doing and they just feel that they need to go in another direction. So it's an act of bravery too, right? And like ultimate faith in oneself. So yeah,
Yes.
congratulations for that. Go ahead,
Thank
Tasha.
you.
You
And
wanted to ask a question.
I had great support from my husband as
It
well,
sounds like it. Yeah.
to do that. So that also made a huge difference. And my son was a gem. He was the kind of kid who can entertain himself. So that was very helpful when I was studying long hours.
Oh, for
Nice. Very
sure.
nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
your title is a holistic naturopath. I'm curious, is there like for one, what is naturopath? You said nourishment, but like really to the core so that our listeners can understand. And is there like you're certified holistic naturopath? Does that mean it's something else to naturopathy? Is it like a different title or is it all sort of like together?
Encompassed.
I use holistic because that's what resonates with me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
to heal, for me, healing is on all levels. And
Right.
we are holistic beings. We are of body, mind, emotions, soul.
Yeah.
All of it needs to be addressed. Right.
Yeah.
And so naturopath, nature. So healing through the powers of nature, healing through the
Okay.
powers of nature. Nature teaches us so much. Nature is so healing. There's so many healing plants from
Hmm.
Yeah.
nature. So it's
Hmm.
really healing in a more natural way with the gifts that we get from nature.
Okay, so it is
Yeah.
specifically related to what you find in nature,
Very,
but
very much so.
yeah.
Yes.
But is there anything that besides the nature component, is there anything else that's part of that naturopathy, like in terms of
Yes.
feelings, emotions, thoughts?
So it's really looking for, it's like I find we're detectives. What is the root cause of this dis-ease
Yeah,
within the being?
I know that you said, I noticed, I just wanted to ask you that. I noticed as we were preparing for this episode today, that you often refer to it as dis-ease in two separate words, but ultimately
Yes.
disease. So maybe can you explain that?
Yes. So where is my being not at ease?
I love that.
Hmm.
What am I having a hard time integrating into my life?
Yeah.
Right?
So
Where
because
have
you
I
can
been
feel it.
wounded?
You can feel the
Yes.
disease in the body, right? You can
Yes.
feel the
So where have I,
dis-ease.
yes, the dis-ease.
Yeah.
Yes. So where have I been wounded and traumatized? Right.
Yeah.
And that's all about me, because you can look at four children in the same family and you will notice they don't have the same dis-ease. So why is that?
Hmm.
Right? Because each being has a totally different perspective, place to come from, belief system,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
So,
Very interesting.
yes,
But is that also
So,
saying that dis-ease, that's that dis-ease that we have from whatever it is, traumas, experiences through life, thoughts, feelings, emotions, all of these things, is that what actually what you're saying is linked to illness in a way? Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So the
So,
body always lives in the now,
yeah.
right? We could trust it. We need to learn to trust it. It's always talking to
It
us.
tells
We
us
may
a
not
lot, right?
always be listening.
Yeah. And just
What was
feeling
that?
sometimes, it's the feeling like if you center yourself and you can almost ask yourself what's going on with me right now because I feel dis-ease,
Yes,
yeah,
right?
but
I
I
You
don't.
can
feel
feel
like
it in your
I
what's
feel
that,
like
Kat?
that's difficult for a lot of people because that's a self-awareness component that maybe a lot of people don't have, or they're so uncomfortable to sit in themselves and feel that dis-ease. They don't know where it's coming from. It's maybe
Mm.
something that's very comfortable for them because they've been living through this disease for their entire life, which I think, Sharon, where is where you come in and you can, I guess, walk us through, like, if you have, let's say, me in front of you, like, do you get me to tell you sort of like my, like, how would I, like, what questions would you ask me in, let's say, a consult so that you can understand and find that disease for me that I can then work on, type thing, right?
Beautiful. I love it. Love the question. So it's really about, so first of all, I want to say, sometimes, like you were saying, it's hard to look sometimes
Hmm.
by yourself. It's hard to look at those places
Hmm.
that
But
we
can
know
I
may.
just want to ask something quickly. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but like when I say look at those places, it's like sitting within yourself and identifying the fact that you have feelings or disease in your disease, like you're not feeling something's off in you. But I think that
Yes,
like yes, 100% right. A lot of people are so used to living that way, myself included. You know, I'm not like pinpointing that it's a certain type of person, but I also think that if you look at the way like if you look at how people are suffering from anxiety, panic, just this, it's is it not a result of that dis-ease in the body, all of these other things that are happening to people? So even if you're not aware of it consciously and you can't sit with it, there's all kinds of indicators that there's not a balance in the body somehow. I'm not talking about chemical, like there's also like medical things that are very important, but just the anxiety that we feel or the frustration or the fear or the anger, all these things can be often stem from that also, right?
there's so many things both of you just brought up. There's
I
so many
know it's a
things, so
big
much.
thing.
It's really
So
juicy.
pop off on it, yeah.
So
Yeah.
where do I start? Where
So
do I
just
start?
I
Because
think
you,
going back to like I just wanted to put that in parenthesis, kind of that these things you don't necessarily need to be so in tune with yourself to identify the fact that there is disease in the body, but also like Natasha's
yeah,
question,
or
I think
there's
is really important.
something off. You feel
Yeah.
there's something off, out of balance. So the first thing I wanted to say is that sometimes it's safer to look at these things with another person, either
Yes.
somebody you trust. Brene Brown talks about that, right? Don't give your
Hmm.
whole self off to everybody. It's like, feel safe. And then you can go into those places that might be sensitive to you. And
Yeah.
that's why, and I have a lot of women who seek me out because they know that there's some conversations to be had. There's something off balance, but they don't exactly know what it is, or it's scary to look at alone, right?
Hmm.
So my work is really to hold a loving, safe space for people to go deeper within themselves. So you were asking before, What are the questions? So it's really, I feel to be my best self or as a therapist is to ask the right questions for you to go deeper within yourself so you have your own aha moments, your own discovery,
Like
rather
realization
than me
for sure.
telling you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you because the truth is I'm not you. I haven't
Yeah.
had your experiences. So how does one make up who we are today? It's what we were taught, what we maybe come into this lifetime already believing, right? What our families taught us, what the school taught us, what we've seen, what we've been reprimanded for, like all of the
The
beliefs,
culture, the
right?
society,
The
the
culture, the
stigmas.
society, exactly, the stigmas. There you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes up who we are today. And so consciousness, you brought up consciousness before as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, you know, the phrase, when you know better, you do better,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? And so it's really important, even in the discovery of ourselves or things that we're not happy with, we're not proud of, to be so loving and understand that we're at the consciousness we're at the time. And as we grow and evolve, then we can see different things we couldn't see before. And forgiveness and loving is so very important to ourselves from where we came from, and even our parents, and know that our parents did the best, because it's so easy to blame,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our
I think
imbalances or
that's
our
what we,
traumas on other
it's a lot of
people.
the ways
Yeah.
that we go to is the blame game, right?
The
Uh,
blame game,
to try and
right?
justify somehow, you know.
Exactly. So if we can understand our parents and our teachers and whoever did the best they could with the consciousness and tools that they had, and send them love and blessings, and then you can only change yourself, number one,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
And you
can't
know,
change another.
the other thing is, Sharon, you don't know what you don't know, right? So
Right.
like you just don't know what you
Yes.
don't know. So until you know, open up and allow yourself or give yourself permission that to be able to acknowledge that for yourself, that we're not, you know, we don't know everything, and we're constantly in the state of learning. And as long as we remain curious and stuff like that and open, there's a lot of that can come into us through that process as well, right?
Yes. And then you were talking about um, not even knowing what's going on
No.
here. So I think a lot in our culture, we're
Hmm.
taught to live here up
Yeah. So very
in our head,
in our heads, not
in
in our
our,
hearts,
right?
not in our bodies.
Do,
Yeah.
do the right thing, fit in. A lot of women are people pleasers because it's easier. We were taught it's easier, just kind of be a people pleaser, just do this. And then I notice, so some people don't feel here. You were talking about feeling because they're cut off, because in some way we were taught
Too
it's kind of
difficult.
scary to go deep within. What might I find there?
Yeah. And the
Right.
pain that
And
you
so now
experience,
it's a
right?
time. Sorry?
And the pain that you experience through that process, because there's a very like disease. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good
Yes.
to go in, to go look those places, and it really is individual too. So like depending on what the person's life has been about, or the experiences that they had, the traumas, from one person to the next is very different. And then also how everybody kind of assimilates that trauma and experience in their life is also very different. You know, somebody might
Very
say,
different.
oh, that wasn't a big deal, but the other person might be like the
Yep.
biggest deal in the world, and they just don't know how to live, like to live through it kind of, or to heal from it. So it's just so painful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very
And
interesting.
so find a safe space to
Mm-hmm.
feel that is,
Mm-hmm.
number one. To have the commitment is very important,
Mm-hmm.
because if you start, I believe that our thoughts attract we attract with our thoughts are energy. We put them out to the universe. We attract similar energy.
Mhm.
So if we put out a commitment and say, I don't know how I'm going to heal. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do this. And I'm
I'm gonna
really
try.
committed to it. Then all of a sudden you start noticing the right resources come around, the right people. A lot of women tell me they find me that way. They just say,
Mhm.
you know, I was fed up of living this way. I wanted something else. And then all of a sudden somebody told me about you or
Mhm.
whatever,
It's like you're
right?
ready for it.
Yeah.
When you acknowledge that you're
You're
ready
ready.
for it, your energy shifts. And that goes
Yes.
with everything in life. It's not
Yes.
just about
Everything.
those things. It's just when your energy shifts, opportunity kind of comes around in its own way when the
Yes.
timing is right, I think.
And now more than ever, it's about connecting the head. So bringing our consciousness, which has been so in our head, right? I got to do it right. I got to be a certain way. I have to, whatever your thoughts are, I have to fit in. I have to be successful. I have to,
Yeah.
whatever it, I have to, it's all head driven
Mm-hmm.
from what we were taught, right? So now in these times, it's about taking that energy into the heart,
Dropping it down.
dropping it into the
Mm-hmm.
heart,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's connecting the head and the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going deeper and the heart feels, right? It's easy not to feel when you're in your head. Very easy. I can get on my computer for hours and do all kind of heady things.
Yeah.
But when you drop into your heart, now there's such beauty in there because the deeper you feel pain, the deeper you feel joy and bliss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about feeling and it's about knowing that we are human beings that are made up of all kind of feelings, but it doesn't mean those feelings define you.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm feeling really sad and depressed one day, it doesn't mean that's who I am.
No.
Feelings are like clouds. They
Yeah.
come through, you feel them. I feel sad, I feel down, and you watch them and then they leave. The problem is when we hold on to it.
Mm-hmm. We
I
get
have
stuck.
this feeling, I'm sad, I'm down, that's who I am. Oh my God, I'm a bad person. And then we start to give ourselves all kinds of labels. No, you're just having those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Feel it.
So the other thing
Allow
that we
yourself
learned,
to
Sharon,
feel it.
something else that we learned through another podcast, another conversation that we had with a woman, her name is Erica Arsenault. She was saying to us that we have something like 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of those thoughts are negative. So like we pull into this, you said before, like this habit of thought kind of thing, and we become it. It's because that's the way our brain is wired. It's kind of not even our fault, she said. It's like the amygdala brain
It's not.
just holds on to stuff, and then we continue to like circle these negative thoughts and this
Yes.
repeated like same kind of thing. And we, just being conscious of that when you're in that state and kind of stepping out of it is just an important thing. I think we should not identify with that completely.
Not identify with it. Exactly. So watch the emotions like clouds.
Like
They
clouds or
come and
waves
you'll
or
notice they come and they go.
hmm.
And what we resist persists. So if we resist it, I don't want to feel that sadness. No, I'm not feeling that sadness. I'm going back up there. No, I'm not. Guess what? It's going to keep revisiting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have the opportunity to transmute it
Mm-hmm.
when we allow ourselves to feel it.
Yeah.
And we can transmute history, generational history, if we allow ourselves to feel things that maybe weren't allowed to be felt before.
Mm-hmm.
We can transmute it to the light.
IS Clinical's Active Serum is my top pick for anyone dealing with breakouts, uneven skin tone, or texture concerns. This fast-acting and results-oriented formula is clinically proven to also reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. With a potent blend of ingredients like arbutin, sugarcane extract, bilberry extract, and mushroom extract, it delivers both rapid and long-term results. Just a few drops at night and let the results speak for themselves. if you want to try this product, go to beskinenvy.ca. That's spelled BSKINENVIE.ca, and use code SkinTalks to get 10% off your first order. So what does that process look like for somebody like you, Natasha asked before, the kinds of questions that you ask to get people to talk about what's going on, and then like what's the process kind of for that?
Okay, I'll take you through like a little process, which is kind of how I work, one way that I work. So I might ask you, what's your greatest challenge right now?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so what might you say? You can
Yeah.
make it up or not or whatever.
Tasha, you go ahead.
Consistency.
Okay.
Consistency in my life. Or let's say I'm really like, I have a very hard time falling asleep.
Okay, great. So tell me what's happening to you night after night after night after night when you're having a hard time falling asleep. What is going on as sensations in your body?
Well, this is like, I'm making this up because I actually sleep really well, fall asleep really
That's
fast.
fine.
Let's say like, um, my process to go to sleep is I go to get into bed, I go on my phone, and then I feel like my heart rate is really high, or I think too much, or I think about what I did today or what I have to do tomorrow.
Okay, so tell me what all that thinking is like. What does it feel like? So the heart rate is perfect. What does it feel like as sensations in the body when your mind's going like that?
Stressful, like I'm
Contraction.
not at
What does
ease.
stress feel like in your body?
Um, I would say probably like uncomfortable, and I feel like my heart rate would increase, and I just like that's, I mean,
Contraction.
I've had that before, so I'm just trying to think about like when I've actually
Hmm.
experienced that. But yeah, I feel like just like like stress, like high heart rate, um, uncomfortable, and then sometimes I would even get annoyed that I'm thinking so much. I'm like, oh, like get over it, like
The
stop thinking
frustration.
about this all the time, or spiraling. I feel like I would
Mm-hmm.
spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Spiraling. Okay. And how is you breathing when this is happening, when
Um,
you're ruminating?
probably, probably not a calm breath, I can imagine.
Okay.
I
So
would feel
maybe
like
shallow
probably like
breathing,
fast, yeah, or like fast
fast
breathing, or
breathing.
yeah.
Okay. And what's happening in your gut? Is there anything going on here?
Um, let's say no.
Okay. So what else might be happening? Is
Um,
there temperature change? Is there sweating? Is there,
let's say that
just
there
give me
is
more
temperature. Yeah.
sensations.
Let's say that I start to feel like hot, like I get sweaty.
Okay. You're sweaty.
So I'm
What
sweaty.
else?
I've had like shallow breathing, and my heart rate, like I can feel my heart beating really fast. I'm getting upset that I'm spiraling so much. So I get
Frustration.
frustrated.
Yeah.
Um, and then definitely like there's been some attempts to try to do deep belly breaths because I heard, or like box breathing. I heard that's really good. So let's say I do that, it doesn't work, I get more frustrated. So I get like irritated, right? And then eventually, like ideally, and after an hour, I'm falling asleep.
Okay. So let's say you're irritated. What does irritated feel like in the body?
Just like I feel like uncomfortable, no? Like just an
Yeah.
uncomfortable
Where?
feeling, like
Where?
tightness, probably in
Yeah.
my
Good.
shoulders.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Tightness in your shoulders.
Yeah, that's what I can really think of right now.
Okay. Perfect. That's perfect. All right. So I'm going to feed this back to you.
Okay.
Okay. So you feel frustrated with a high heart rate, like you're spiraling, like your breathing is fast and you're sweaty and you have tightness in your shoulders. Okay. Can you relate
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah.
Good. Good. So I said before, the body lives in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so noticing, have you noticed this sensation, these feelings happen at other times in your life?
Oh, 100%.
100%. Okay, and sometimes it could go back even to childhood. Okay,
Probably, yeah.
right? So we look at this and say, okay, when your body is doing this, it's an automatic reflex, okay? In some way, shape, or form, your body is not feeling safe in that moment, or your being is not feeling safe in that
Mm-hmm.
moment. And this is what it does. So it's to recognize that when this is happening in the body, it's stop. Because when this is happening, guess what? Is anybody home? No,
No.
nobody's home, right? Because you're usually in some past trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about stop, take a breath, or use your box breath, anything that you do to come into the moment and ask what just happened. And you could do this any time of the day with anything. What just happened such that I didn't feel safe?
Mm-hmm.
Now that could be, I had a thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to sleep again tonight. That's horrible. I have so much to do tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right? It could be anything, any
Yeah.
kind of trauma. So stop. So what just happened? But it's getting to what just happened. It could be a thought. It could be the way somebody looked at you. It could be, what somebody said. So it's what just happened such that you didn't feel safe. All right. So you recognize, are you safe?
Yes.
Yes.
Ideally.
So you look around, okay, I'm in my bed, I can't sleep, but am I safe? Yeah, the sky's not falling in, nothing's about to eat me, I'm good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then asking, what am I committed to?
Okay.
So what am I committed to? I'm committed. What are you committed to?
In that moment, sleeping.
Yeah. And in
Right?
general, so it could be I'm committed to having better sleep. I'm committed to
Yeah.
being healthy and well, whatever your commitments are. Okay, good. So instead of ruminating for the next half hour, right? I could do something in alignment with what I'm committed to, or be or do. Be that
Okay.
person who's in alignment with what I'm committed to, instead of ruminating and having the high heartbeat and feeling I'm not safe and going down that dark spiraling
Yeah.
tunnel. You know that, right? So it's
Yeah.
just stop, come into the moment. What just happened? Am I safe? Yes. And what am I committed to? Right. And so that's what I work with, a lot of deep trauma in that way. So that's a tool that you could take with you.
Okay.
So
It's just
when you
it's
say
bringing the
like, what
awareness.
are you committed to? And then I say I'm committed
Yes.
to like being better at work or maybe being better a friend or getting 8 hours of sleep. In that exact moment, am I just asking myself that question and then like being like, okay, recognizing it, or am I actually like lying in bed doing something that's pushing towards that commitment? Like, what does that look like?
So either it's well, first of all, it's telling your mind, what am I committed to? So if I'm committed to having good sleep and being healthy and well, it's not great for me to be ruminating for the next half
Right.
hour about
Okay.
why I'm not sleeping. So
Okay. Okay. I
maybe
understand.
I'll get up and do something that I know is healing for me
Hmm.
and makes me feel well.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe I'll make some notes in my journal right now so I could stop ruminating and feeling bad about all the millions of things I have to do tomorrow. Right. And start jotting down some things that could help. Or maybe jotting down, I think I need to see somebody. And that could be in alignment with your commitment. Okay, this sleeping thing isn't working well on my own. So I think tomorrow I'm going to reach out to somebody, and that's in alignment with my commitment to sleep better and to not stay in the rumination about it,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to actually take an action.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I want to know, what are your thoughts on journaling and like getting those, like let's say for example, I'm going through this like night that we're talking about right now, this scenario. Would you recommend that somebody like pulls out a journal, starts writing about how they're feeling, and then trying to go back to sleep? Like, is that another option? Because I've heard
Yes.
that journaling is really good.
Well, usually when we're in this state that we talked about,
Yeah.
right, where we're kind of stuck, it's important to move the energy. We are energetic beings. We are made up of atoms and molecules resonating at a frequency. And when we are stagnant like that and frozen in some kind of a trauma or wound, there's an energetic, things aren't flowing. There's an
Yeah.
energetic blockage. So you want to move the energy. So journaling is one way to do that. And if you notice, your hand is directly connected to your heart, right?
Right.
So the best thing to do before I journal is I meditate and I do some deep breathing through my heart, and I imagine living myself through my heart. And if I have a hard time, I think of times where I had beautiful times with beautiful people, and I fill up my heart with that, and then I energize it, and then I write.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I connect to something greater and more powerful, more beautiful. So it depends what your beliefs are. You can connect
Right.
with the divine, with creator, with your higher self, all of that. And then move the energy by writing your thoughts, your
Hmm.
feelings. That's a safe way to do it. That's only for you, right?
Yeah.
Another way to move energy, maybe not in the middle of the night, but a way that I move energy a lot during the day, if I feel that stuckness, is I walk. I get moving. I do yoga. I do something to move the energy in that way. You could do deep breathing. When the breath is shallow and you're in fear, it's a good idea to bring the breath down, breathe from the deep belly
Right.
breaths, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You were talking about
Yeah.
breathing like this, right? When you were in that state. So deep belly breaths are really good. Get that energy moving through your body, right? And the deeper you breathe, the deeper you feel as well.
Yeah. There was
So
actually a
does that
time when I did have moments like this. Sorry, B, that
no, yeah.
I actually would have like a really hard time falling asleep. I would like lie on my stomach, and it was almost like a feeling that my heart, I could move the mattress with my heart beating so fast. And I remember telling my therapist this, that I couldn't control, like what gave me more anxiety or like more stress during that time was that I could feel my heartbeat beating so fast. So I knew something was off. Like I knew I wasn't in like a calm state, and it would make me more nervous. And then I tried to breathe. Like I tried doing the box breathing, deep belly breaths, which made it me focus more on my heart. Actually, I could feel it with my deep breath. So it caused more anxiety. And at this time, my
Aha.
therapist told me to put my hands on my face and hold my face, because there was a form of comfort of like holding your cheeks, or like
Cat.
I can't remember what it was. It was a
Mm.
while ago. But
Yeah.
doing this, and
Okay.
then she said that that would help. So whenever I had those moments when I was going to bed, I would literally just like hold my cheeks. And I mean, I
Did it
think it
help?
Yes.
helped. I
And
mean, I
your
don't,
consciousness will follow your hands,
yeah.
right? So put your hands so maybe holding here isn't the best time
Hmm.
at that moment, isn't the best place. So you go to another place, because your consciousness will then go to your face
Mm-hmm.
if your
Okay.
hands are there as well, right?
Interesting.
It
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
interesting.
And it's also important what you eat,
Hmm.
right? Before you sleep. So there's many things to be conscious of before you sleep, right?
Yeah.
And
Alcohol, like all the things.
electronics could have
That's,
us be like this too, because there's energy flowing through our electronics, right? So you want to live in an electronic free bedroom
yeah,
Yeah.
as
that's
well.
huge
Which
right
is
And
now.
yeah, and I find like it's really like all of these things when you hear about all of these things, it's theoretically you think, okay, that's I can do that. It's easy, but it's actually not. And so you really do have to practice, right? Like
Practice.
all of these things are not, don't, what I'm trying to say is like, if you try these techniques, whatever they are in relation to you touching yourself, and sometimes like if you touch your face, somebody might think, oh, that's doing nothing for me, you know what I mean? So having the patience to persevere and to
Yes.
not take the first attempt as a failure when you try and you start implementing these things into your life, that it doesn't all just like fall into place in one particular moment, that, oh, I'm fixed, you know what I mean? It's like a constant,
Yes.
we have to do it every day. And with every, I find even as we age and get older and more mature, like it's just a constant effort that we need to make for ourselves, but through a practice, not just through like another pressure thing that we put on ourselves, that to be perfect and to be this and to be that, because we do
Yeah.
that in so many areas of our life, and
Yes.
we have to meet up to the cultural standards that we live in, or whatever it is, right? It's just be patient with yourself and give yourself permission to not be perfect at it right away, and just keep at it. And with time, I think
Yes.
that's where it will manifest into something very good for yourself. But also then once you get that under control, there's something else that's going to peep up somewhere. That's just where life is, right? It's not just like, okay, I fixed that and now I'm fixed. It's not. It's like constant.
Right.
It's a constant lesson along the way somehow of
Yes.
I don't know if that makes any sense. I know I just speak from experience in my
Totally.
own way, that, even, and we're all like, I'm in my mid 50s, but sometimes I feel like I'm still a teenager in the way that I think about things, because I haven't processed or worked through things properly in my life. And, like, it's crazy for a woman, I think, that's quite, awake in her life and has done accomplished a lot of things. I just started journaling on October 31st, I think.
Beautiful.
Every single night before I go to bed, I journal, and I start with what the really good things that happen in my day, and how like, I had a great day today. What was great about my day? And I also will acknowledge things that maybe didn't happen that were so great, but I have making a conscious effort to get away from that negative pattern thinking that was dominating my life
Mm-hmm.
for most of my life. And here I am, like a child in a way, because I haven't already, like, I wonder why I haven't already done that in my life, because I feel that it helped me so much in just such a short time, on
Yeah.
how I see things, how I see myself, how I process my day, my sleep, everything. It's, I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but anyways, I'm just telling you because we are students of life, I think.
We are. We
And we
are.
really just have to just, no matter what time of our life it is or what we're going through, we have to make these little steps to improve,
Definitely.
improve our own lives for ourselves, not for anybody else.
Yes. Yes. And finally understand that we are worthy
Yeah.
just because we are, because we are here. We are manifest on this earth. We are taught that we have to earn our worthiness. No, that's
Yeah.
not true. What if we just woke up one day and said, enough, I am worthy. I get it.
Yeah.
I am lovable. I
Yeah.
am lovable.
Yeah.
But everything has to start here,
Yeah. And you have to believe it at
right?
the same time, right? You
Well,
can't
you could
say
fake
I'm
it till you make
lovable.
it.
Pardon?
I said you could fake it till you make it.
Right.
Well, I
But
think
You
it's an
could.
aspect
right.
of
You
positive
start,
talk.
right? So it's well to you talked about habits, which I love. I love what you're bringing up here. And because most of our thoughts, like you said, the other woman that you had on said, right, are the same thoughts over and over and they're not
And they're not
empowering
positive. They're not
thoughts.
empowering us,
And most of them came from decisions we made from 0 to 7,
Mm-hmm.
because we're like little sponges.
Mm-hmm.
Reasoning kicks in about 7, about. we're sponges. So somebody says, "Oh, you're not good at math." "Oh, I'm not good at math. I'm a girl. Girls don't do that." My father used to tell me they don't play drums. So it's like, "Oh, I don't do that." And so we start to believe these things. We just take them on. And then it comes a point where in our life where you realize, are these beliefs, which turn into habits, really working for me?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. And around 50 is when I get a lot of women calling me. They're going to turn 50, have their 50, and they're starting to question things. Right. And that's a beautiful time of awakening. Now, it could be any time. It could be in your 30s, 40s, but a lot of women now are waking up, I find, in their around 50 and questioning and say, I want to do things different. So how do we change a habit? So first is the awareness to realize I have this habit. Is it really working for me? Not really. And so it's about committing to something different, but realizing that our thoughts, the same thought over and over and over again, fires a neuron. And if it fires a neuron enough, it creates a neural network, a network of neurons of that same belief, right? That is, we call a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
And
not
how do
serving
we,
us, somehow it doesn't
it's
serve
not
us.
serving us. So when we recognize that habit's not serving us, then it's to go do the work. Like it's not serving you to go into that pattern of sleep or not sleep, right? So it's saying, okay, so what do I want to do? I want to create a healthier habit over here. So first, I have to notice when I'm in this habit.
You have to
And then
notice
make a different stop, realize I'm here, and then make a different habit. What am I committed to? Oh, I'm committed to, being healthier and well and not ruminating about not sleeping every night. Okay, so what healthier habit can I start creating at this moment? And the more you stop here and create over here, the easier it becomes. You start to disengage this network.
Yeah.
And your go-to will be more the healthier.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right? And it takes approximately, they say, approximately 30 days to at least start using more the new habit or engaging more in the new habit where it becomes easier.
I have been using the SkinCeuticals PTOX for a couple of weeks now, and I have to say I'm obsessed. This product is a needle-free anti-wrinkle peptide serum that visibly reduces 9 types of expression lines and reveals glass skin radiance. It's a great product to start using when you're not quite ready for injections, or like me, it's the perfect complementary product to use in conjunction with my Botox sessions to maximize wrinkle correction. I even have a couple of friends who have been using the product and have noticed change in their skin texture and any deep wrinkles they may have. You have to try it. Trust me on this. If you want to try the product, go to bskinenvy.ca. That's BSKINENVIE.ca and use code SkinTalks to get 10% off your next order.
I agree with that because, again, from personal experience of doing something repeatedly, I noticed a change. And then what it does is it kind of opens up other things. Like when I get into situations, let's say for me specifically, I'm talking from my own personal experience where I can feel I'm in a conversation with somebody and I can feel myself reacting to the conversation a certain way. I can actually like listen to the conversation, but also ask myself, am I reacting this way because it's my ego? It's I'm jealous or envious because I think jealousy, I can't identify with jealousy, but I can with envy, like envy in a positive sense. Am I angry? Do I not like what they say? And there's also that expression that people are mirrors, windows, or doors, right? So it's like hearing what somebody says, how it feels in your body and why, and what's the lesson in it somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. That actually ends up, once you start somewhere, that's what I find ends up happening as life goes by and you mature and you become more and more and more conscious, or, if something happens that you don't like, why don't you like it? And what happened that caused you not to like it? And so you start to think about all these things more and more, and then you can pull more away from it, like you said.
Yes.
You can pull
Yes.
and say
And send
stop.
it even, yes, stop. And send it blessings,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Send the blessings to and those people, because if those people, the people we were angry at, the
Mm-hmm.
people we resented,
Mm-hmm.
if they were that way, chances are they weren't loving themselves. So can I send blessings?
Exactly.
If they didn't treat me so nice, and I resent that, can I send blessings there? Because obviously you know, they had their own wounds and
Absolutely.
traumas, and I heal, and we all heal. So what's such a beautiful thing as we're all healing together,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like as we heal our wounds individually, we help the collective.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Lord,
We help the
you
collective.
know,
It's so beautiful.
that's the thing. Like I was going to say, Lord knows, but I'm not a religious. I consider myself to be more spiritual, but in the sense of that,
Hmm.
the world needs that. Our world needs
The
that
world needs that.
tremendously right now on so many different levels. When you look around what's going on in the world, and we need that collective love and forgiveness. And, I hope for that. But I think also something that I wanted to mention, what you said that really struck a chord for me was sending the person who you perceive or feel di- made you upset or didn't treat you properly or whatever the situation may be, and sending them love or forgiveness has a way to heal oneself in that as well. When you can learn to love and forgive, you end up it just makes your life function in a more elevated level and with a more higher vibration, because you're letting that stuff go,
Yes.
recognizing the fact that the person that did that may be having their own things going on, you know
Yes.
that's the result of why they
Yes.
did it, unconsciously, maybe consciously, whatever it is, but there's a story behind it that you aren't part of.
Yes. And you said a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So when our cells are vibrating high, so what has our cells vibrate high? Good, healthy food,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
right? Enough rest, good community is very, very important. Like in the blue zones, the
Yes.
5 blue zones, they say, community is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these zones, they eat together, they have gatherings,
Mm-hmm.
um, eating healthy food, growing your own food,
Moving.
movement,
Moving. Yeah.
moving, so very important, right? And so these are high vibration thoughts: love, gratitude. Gratitude. I mean, if you feel crappy, just think of 10 things that you're grateful for, and you'll shift that.
Mm-hmm.
The energy, the vibration will raise. And you can always think of 10 things you're grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
always,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And remembering that we tell ourselves, so things aren't set in stone. Mostly what we tell ourselves are stories. So we have a lot of stories about the past. I have a lot of stories about my childhood and about my dad, especially. And he was this way. And then one day I woke up and I went, wow, those are stories. And a lot of them are made up of bits and pieces I heard from different people about my father and about
Mm-hmm.
and about this, and I made up my stories. And are my stories serving me? Are they healthy stories? Well, if a lot of them are stories and perceptions and things like that, we have the ability to change our stories,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if we're committed to living in a higher vibration life, a healthier cells, why not create healthier stories?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for
And
sure.
we have the ability to do that, to create healthier stories. Because the truth about it is that our memory and doesn't really remember
No,
things always the way they were. We think
exactly.
we do.
I know. I read this National Geographic article this summer, I think it was, or maybe earlier in the year, and it was talking about memory. And it was just so interesting. What we remember and what really happened could
Yep.
be completely different things. And if you ask the
Yeah,
same
like brain
Yes.
people,
tricks you.
Yeah, and we have different kinds of memory, short term, long term, and it's triggered by different things. Like, how come we can remember a password that we need for to get into our computers or something? You say it to yourself, 672-973. You do it and ask yourself the same password 10 minutes later, it's gone. So we have the way to memorize things in our life or have memory of things in our life, but it's often triggered by how it made you feel emotionally, or there's so many different
Yes.
elements to it, but actually just identifying with the fact that what you remember may not actually be what happened. You
Hmm.
know, if you put two people
Yes.
that were in the same memory and say what happened that day, one person will tell you one story, one person will tell you another story. So it's just
Yes.
being conscious of that, you know? But this is, I just love
Yes.
these conversations. Obviously, I think you can tell that. I think it's so interesting when we
Yeah.
dive into the human being a little bit more and understand that there's so much opportunity that we just need to take baby steps towards to
Yes.
take, and it will just make everything better for yourself. Like I said before, it's for yourself, but as a result, it's for community, and like you said before, it's for the collective, right? Because everybody else in your life and everything in your life will feel your higher vibration, and it will just be much, I think, much more pleasant for the
Yes.
collective.
And sometimes it's not so pleasant at the beginning
And of
for the
course,
people closest
yeah, oh yeah,
because and this I've heard this over and over, working with women for 30 years. I've heard this over and over. So as a woman comes into herself, takes her power back, starts to love herself, realize she's worthy,
yeah.
and comes from a place of being more, living her greatest potential. Um, Sometimes the rules change around and things, so now she doesn't have to please so much anymore. Everybody else may be starting to please herself more. Then you change the rules and people might get upset
Oh, they
and
might
go,
be like,
well, wait a
you're
minute,
so
but we always
selfish.
did it. But you always did that for me. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not now. So I'm
Yeah,
not doing that for you now. Explain it. So it could be a little upsetting the apple cart, but that's okay.
it is okay.
It's
To
okay
push through.
to do that and to push through, because then you're setting an example of, we are allowed to be there and for ourselves in greatest health, right, and well-being.
Absolutely.
So ultimately we're setting a greater example, but it might be a little upsetting at the
Oh, I
beginning.
know. I think
For
we've
It
all
was
sure.
for
probably
my family.
experienced that in our life where we set our boundaries and
But it's just,
understand, like, and honoring ourselves, right? Yeah.
Boundaries, that's
but
a
it's also
part of
because
loving
people,
yourself.
a lot of people don't like change. So change is uncomfortable.
Yes.
So if somebody closest to you is picking you up from school or driving you to school every single day and they decide not to anymore because it's too exhausting for them or whatever reason it is, like that, it's upsetting. People don't like that. So it's a scary thing, I think. But once like
Change is scary for a lot
that
of people.
person,
Yeah.
yeah, they like
Because
to live in the
we're
comfort.
safe, we're creatures of safety.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
feel safe in what we know, even though we know it's not healthy sometimes.
Hmm.
It's still safe because I know it,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think
right?
people
But
don't
if
like to
you
live in
Yeah.
want it,
uncertainty. There's an uncertainty,
right,
and uncertainty
an
it
uncertainty.
causes a lot of challenges for people, that uncertainty and change. So, yeah.
Yes.
Sharon,
And so back to creating habits, I just wanted to
yeah, for sure.
say
Yeah.
this about you had mentioned habits and sometimes they're hard to change. Sometimes it's great to have an accountability partner. And
Yeah.
that's how a lot of women use me, as their
Of
accountability
course.
partner. So it's like, okay, this is what they discovered. This is how they want to move forward. And, we'll meet in a month and we'll relook at that, see how you're doing, what support you need, how did it go, how maybe change trajectory a little bit and what have you. So sometimes some hand holding at the beginning is a really good
Yeah, of
thing.
Oh, I
course.
agree. I agree. I think it's very important. People need, we talked about it before, communities, blue zones, people work together, they eat together, they move together, they do kinds of things. So we need each other for those types of things. So I think
And to
people,
remind each other who we are when we forget.
yeah, yeah,
Right? If you forgot who you are today and you're down on yourself, maybe I could just remind you, that you are a magnificent being just because you are.
Yeah.
Right. And
The
how great is
process.
that to surround yourself with people that have that higher vision of you and the truth, and know the truth, because it's the truth of who you are at the deepest core.
Yeah. I love this
I love this.
episode.
We can talk
You're
about this
so nice.
forever.
I know, I
Yeah.
know. And you've been so gracious with your time with us, and we really do appreciate it. Obviously, I think we have all of your information that we're going to put in our show notes so that people can have access to your services. I'm assuming you also do a lot of things virtually. It's not only done
Yes.
in person.
So I have an office in the West Island, and I work a lot virtually. And if I could just mention, we are giving a women's retreat in Costa Rica
Sounds
Oh,
wonderful.
in
beautiful.
February, and it'll be our 10th year leading women's transformational retreats. So there's something very special about taking a woman out of her environment for a whole week to do this work, to have the deeper conversations, to touch upon the soul, the depth of the soul, and what it has to experience in each moment, maybe to take the time that we don't have in our everyday life to do that and support each other as a sisterhood.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
So if you want to know more, people could reach out to me to find out more.
Perfect. Lovely.
Perfect. We'll have
Thank
that
you
all in the
so
show
much.
notes for our listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
It has
time.
been such a gift and a pleasure. And I love that, having this conversation amongst different generations.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's so powerful. We have so much to learn from each other.
We really
Yeah,
do.
it's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Many blessings.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to rate, review, and follow us on social at Skin Talks Pod. We'll see you next week.